We got Gators breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. And hey, look what's behind me. Look what's behind me. It's the live from the swamp right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. I did not want to wait till I got home. That ride to Jacksonville would have been oh so sweet. But 24-17, Gators upset Ole Miss in Ole Miss's college football playoff dreams. All done right here in the swamp. That noon kickoff this senior day. Oh, man, I tell you what, that's been with a lot of fun. These last 2 weeks have been a lot of fun. We have endured a lot as Gator fans. So, man, everybody enjoy it. It's been a while since we've had a 2-week stretch like this to be able to enjoy Florida football at this level. 2 ranked teams. I know Ole Miss not ranked anymore, and I go by end-of-season rankings. But still, given the context, a ranked win last week versus LSU and a ranked win with a team fighting for their college football playoff lives right here, Ole Miss. So, man, just great to be a Florida Gator. It was great to hear that out of the tunnel, walking down to the press room after the game, and the swamp was just echoing with the "It's great to be a Florida Gator" chant. It's been a while. And look, I know I didn't pick Florida to win this one. Sometimes that feels better. I didn't think Florida didn't have a chance in this game. I thought Florida had a chance. Talked about it all morning at the tailgate and all that stuff. But I didn't see it. 2 weeks in a row, this team has made me look like a dummy, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Absolutely here for it. I'll take it. I will take it. So. I don't even know if I've introduced myself. You guys know who I am. David Waters, at GatorDave_SEC, all that good stuff. One more time, live from the swamp. So this might be a little more clunky of an episode that I'm used to doing here. Hopefully it sounds good. So it's let me know. I see you guys in the chat there. We're going to. I'll start with the chat like I do. I'll kind of go through the game. I'm going to recap this game drive by drive because it was a wonderful game to do so. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Oh, man. I see a lot of good comments right here. Everybody hit that like button. Don't forget to like right here. First time ever in the swamp live right here. I may do this some more if this goes well. I like to be in the comfort of my own home studio and all that. But, hey, I got the technology. Florida's allowing me to in this little room here. And I got the laptop in a chair. I'm in a bar stool type of chair. I wanted the swamp behind me. I could have sat in my normal seat, and it just would have been a piece of wood or something behind me. No. I wanted to get creative. If I'm not in my home studio, I at least got to take advantage. And I had to put this beautiful structure behind me here and show off the swamp. And I guess it would be over here. Barely you can see it, but there is a scoreboard right there that says Florida 24, Ole Miss 17. That's exactly what it says. So, man, what a victory! It's been a while. It's fun. It's a lot more fun to win than it is lose. A lot more fun had this way. Certainly, you can tell for sure. I'm gonna be up in the screen. I got to do the whole laptop and all that kind of good stuff there. But hey, let's get to some comments right quick. And everybody, hey, thanks for right here on this. Let's see, about an hour and a half after the game ends, hopping in here. I wasn't sure I was going to do this, but I'm glad I could do it. Brian, let's get you in here. Go Gators, baby. And he says, the swamp where dreams come to die. It is where Ole Miss's college football playoff dreams come to die. Oh, man. So much pressure was on them, especially late game situation. We'll get into that as we go through the game. But credit to this defense, certainly, first of all, in helping these dreams dwindle for Ole Miss's college football playoff chances. And credit to that because came up with the turnovers late. Ole Miss gets the ball back with some time left to do some things, and this defense stands up once again. Got all kind of interceptions there, some that didn't even count there toward the end. But credit to this defense for standing strong. Not the offense's best day, but kind of understood. Of course, DJ Lagway still hampered somewhat. Going against a really, really good Ole Miss front. Florida's run game takes over late in the trenches, but it's also the trenches on the defensive side of the ball. And some, Jackson Dart trying to be hero a little bit, kind of lending itself to Florida, get some turnovers there late and winning this game. But all the pressure that had to be on Ole Miss at the end of this game as they got drive after drive, and you just felt the pressure, and the pressure was mounting on Ole Miss to do something there with their drives. And I think that's what got to them a little bit. The pressure from Florida's defense, but at the same time, the pressure they were facing, I mean, they had to tighten up a bit. I'm sure that played into it a little bit. And like I said, Jackson Dart really tried too hard. Some of those interceptions he threw, he had some guys open underneath. I mean, the one in the end zone to Thornton, that's triple coverage. You can't tell me somebody underneath's not open. I want to go back and watch the replay of it and see. But hey, credit. You got to play smart football in those situations. And I think the pressure got to Ole Miss a bit. And that dream of the college football playoff likely over. Let's see. Thomas says, can we really get to 8 wins this season? It's possible. 6 right now, 6-5. Next week should be 7-5 over Florida State. Go get that 8th win in the bowl game. With this win, Florida's bowl chances of a pretty good bowl game go up. Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, I know after this one, would have loved Florida at 6-6. I'm going to love Florida at 7-5 and Lagway leading the charge. But, anytime Jacksonville can get the Gators, they certainly want to do so. And getting Lagway and hopefully a full game in Jacksonville in the Gator Bowl, I'll take it. So right down the road from me, I'll take it. Let's see. Kevin Reed, thanks for hopping in, Kevin. I know I talked to you a good bit there on Twitter. Got to give Billy Napier credit. Most teams would have quit, and he spoke a lot on that after the game. Credit to these players as well. But credit to Billy Napier, of course, as well. Both starting CBs, best nickel, Pup Howard, a defensive lineman before the season, and faced Dart, Ewers, Nussmeier, Beck, Nico, kept coaching. Yeah, absolutely. Giving credit to Coach Napier, giving credit to this team, not quitting, finding ways. After in the post game, I don't know if you got to listen to it or not, guys, but Billy Napier really went back to that first bye week. And say, hey, look, that's when things changed. The first bye week, the Tennessee game, even Florida lost that game. That's what he credits to the turnaround, and said that Wednesday practice of that first bye week was the best practice he's ever been a part of in the 20 years he's been coaching. Loud statement there by Billy Napier. And we all know we saw it change, and we wanted wins to come along with that. We knew Florida was playing better. Getting wins over UCF and Kentucky are good. Absolutely. You had to start somewhere, right? And then the close game against Tennessee, we still didn't really know. That could have just been a one-off. But then you go to Jacksonville and play Georgia tough, and that's a tough situation. All right, Texas game, maybe that was the one-off here late in the season. That game didn't go so well, and certainly, could have not responded after that one too. And then to come home and get the win over LSU, to come home and get the win over Ole Miss, this team definitely changed its tune in the second half of the season after that first bye week. And Billy Napier really credits the players for just not giving up. And look, the coaches had to find the motivation as well on their end and kind of tie all that stuff in together. So certainly credit is due. JR says, hell yeah, Dave, let's go. Scott 20, go Gators. Will S. Let's go Gators. Amazing game today. Effort from the team. We finally capitalized on momentum after LSU. Enjoy it. Absolutely. Man, that fickle word, momentum. And another reason, of course, I couldn't buy in. You guys know me. I have fell to the depths of this season where it was a lot of prove me moments. I wanted Billy Napier to prove he could coach a game like last week versus LSU and win that game. And then this one, all right, find some momentum. Go win 2 games in a row. Hey, you made a believer out of me in these last 2 weeks. Credit to you guys who didn't quit believing in Billy Napier and this staff. I'm just glad we all can come together and enjoy this. I probably still believe some more than some. Some were absolutely in the basement. They've come around. I've come around. Some guys have never left. Ladies out there never left. Credit to you, but also good credit. Let's all come together. This is gonna. I think there's something to build off of for the fan base as well. And look, I think Florida had to have this win. Of course, you got to go. Talk about momentum. You can't get it stalled next week. Go out there and beat the crap out of Florida State like you should. Go win a bowl game. But with this win right here, the offseason hype meter for Florida, it's pinging. It's going to be pinging in the offseason. How does the team handle that as well? That's going to be a new territory for this team. Okay, we've got a couple more games to play. FSU in a bowl game. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but that wasn't going to happen unless you got this win versus Ole Miss. Let's see. Mr. Rick James Jr., where's your faith, Gator Dave? Hey, faith's a lot higher now. As I said, I got to see it to believe. You got to give me some proof. And hey, the team coaches went out there and did that. Bull Gators, first one right here. I've had a couple of text messages. I've had some DMs about this. How is that coffee going to taste? That coffee is going to taste oh so good in the morning. Wherever I stop on the way home and eat, that food's going to taste so good too. On the way back to Jacksonville tonight, absolutely. Everything's going to taste so much better. Life's going to be I don't have to work this week. I got all the week off for Thanksgiving, so all kinds of coverage for Florida State coming up. We're going to revel in this one too. We want the team to move on starting tomorrow and get ready for Florida State, but we, as a fan base, as I have said, let's enjoy the hell out of this one. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. James Thomas says, I wonder what Lane thinks about the Swamp now. Hey, when I do this game recap right quick in just a second, I took notes a couple times throughout that, and the Swamp was loud. The Swamp made a difference. It was last week, this week, the Swamp felt oh so good, old so vintage Swamp, and Billy Napier credited after the game as well. It's certainly it's good for after the first month of the season. After that Miami game, after that Texas A&M game, to see what we have seen here in the last 2 weeks, credit the team for giving the fan base something at home too. That's another reason why Miami and Texas A&M stung so much, was because it was those home games, and you really weren't in those games, and those games didn't come out the right way, and it was bad, and it was bad at home in front of the fan base. And I said it last week, but even more so this week too. I remember us media, we get to wait right there where the team runs back into the tunnel after the game. And I remember Billy Napier walking in that tunnel after the Miami game. It was bad. After the Texas A&M game, it was even worse. And bad language, all kind of things thrown at Billy Napier, verbally. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't a pretty sight. And how much that has changed with home wins over UCF and Kentucky and LSU and Ole Miss. Amazing how far this team has come in that first month. Now, overall, big picture, we want this program to be better. If we had gotten this late half of the season, all season long, of course, this season goes a whole lot better. But I think we can really point to these last few games and the last half of the season. Start with that after that bye week in the UCF game, and really saying this team has turned the corner. And this team is much better. This team's grown during the season. They matured during the season, didn't give up when they absolutely could. With some in the fan base, we have given up. Thank God. They did not. So certainly. But for Lane in the Swamp, his first trip since 2009 with Tennessee, Ole Miss's first trip since 2015. Ole Miss not so fortunate in the Swamp last couple of times. Let's go. There's another one right here. Yeah, Brian says, coffee going to taste so good. Jay Lee says, Billy Napier deserves credit. Let's go. Jay Lee, let's go, Dave. Blueberry, let's go, Dave. OG Walker, anybody still want Lane Kiffin? Hey, that was going to come up, and rightfully so, with all the Lane Kiffin talk all season long. Not anymore. I mean, one game really shouldn't change your mind and opinion on that, but still. Andrew says, do the Gators still make the playoff as a 7-5 team? Sure. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to be playing Florida right now. And I don't think we've been saying that. And then the injuries, of course, if you're going up against, there's teams better than Ole Miss out there. We know that. But still, this is a dangerous team right now, especially in this stadium that's sitting behind me. Certainly a more dangerous team right now. Look, we'll see what Kansas does today, but teams that have matured during the season, I would not want to play Florida right now. I would not want to play South Carolina right now. I would not want to play Kansas right now. And we'll see, what goes on. Kansas and Colorado, of course, playing today. But teams can get better as the year goes on. Lesson learned. Bull Gator says, yeah, we cannot hire Kiffin any longer after a loss to Napier. Brian says anyone reads Bree's tweet. I haven't seen much on there, so no, I haven't. What a year does, Dave. Yeah, absolutely. What a few games it does. It's funny how I said this last episode when I did my prediction. I think I was believing more in the team against UCF and Kentucky, more so than a lot of other people out there. I did see many people picking losses to those teams. So I was probably ahead of the curve, and then maybe I graded too hard on that Texas game. But still, I thought LSU was better and would find a way to win here. I thought Ole Miss was better and would find a way to win here. It was hard for me to really latch on to Florida to take that next step. I thought Florida was better than, the UCF and the Kentuckys of the world, but somewhere in the middle of LSU, Ole Miss, behind those teams. Not to be. The way Florida's playing right now, as I said, I would not want to play this Gator team. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Sheila says, congrats to the Gators. DJ played a very good game. I am a Gator fan. I did say the Gators would beat the Rebels. Gators playing so much better now. Yeah, DJ played good. Some of those Ole Miss has to be frustrated. How many times they should have had him down in the first half. Got to him a bit more in the second half. There was a lot more pressure in the second half. Still made some really good throws in the second half. Run game had to take over eventually and did so. Gators get the dub with that. Kenneth Wise says, I'm going to enjoy the heck out of this. The defense has exceeded my wildest expectations. Do we know what to attribute to this? Ron Roberts. That's the one thing that changed in that first bye week. Austin Armstrong comes down to the sideline. Ron Roberts goes up in the booth. There was a lot of communication between the players and the coaches, what the players thought they could do better, what they wanted to do better, how they thought the coaches could help them. There was a lot of good communication between the coaches and the players. And that's where it started. They got on the same page, and you see the results. Maybe simplified it some more. Credit to this team, the open field tackling today. Now, there was a lot of yak, but there were clutch, critical situations where Florida's tackling needed to get the job done, and certainly did. Charles Jenkins says, Napier's going to sleep good tonight. Yeah, he ended the press conference today. That's what I was doing right before I hopped on here, and said he made sure to say this was a fun one. So, absolutely it was. Big Blue Horses, first critique here, but kind of, 24 points a game stood on enough to win the SEC. Well, we were never going to do that anyway today. 24 was enough to beat Ole Miss. And that's all that matters today. Should be averaging 30-plus a game. Yeah, for the most part this season, the offense was there. This is a really good offensive front, Ole Miss defensive front. Ole Miss should be scoring 17 points a game. That's the reality of the situation. But they did. And Florida's 24 points were enough. You're not going to score that every game, especially this year's SEC. We've seen it. It changes a lot. Every week is different. Every week's a reset. I think we learned that the last couple of weeks. Okay. I'm going to try to do this. And, with the game recap, I got to click over, of course, and start this. So I have to probably click back over, make sure my camera's still good and the audio is still good. I'll come back to comments in just a second. But let's get to the game recap right here. Ole Miss ball first at their own 25. It's 3rd and 1 right away at the 34. Aaron Gates goes down on the second down play. He's taken to the locker room. So right away, Aaron Gates is out of the game. Another secondary player down for Florida. Ole Miss brings in, and we saw a lot of this. They've been doing it throughout the season. Defensive lineman Pegues comes in. He gets the first down. A couple plays later, it's 2nd and 4. And Jordan Castell lights up Ole Miss tight end Daquan Wright. Call for targeting is overturned. It's 3rd and 4 for Ole Miss at the 44. 4 wide receiver set for the Rebels. And great coverage causes a sack by Caleb Banks. So the sack gets started early for the Gators with Cam Jackson with the pressure front for Ole Miss. And, hey, guys, I said it. Hopefully you were at the game and you got to see this, but Major Wright was Mr. Two-Bits. And how about all the hits in the secondary today? And it started very early with Jordan Castell, but some later in the game as well. Sharif Denson with one as well. And I thought it was only fitting that Major Wright was Two-Bits. And that secondary was just laying the wood. That's the way it turned out right there. So certainly like the way that turned out for this defense. So Gators ball at their own 35 on their first drive. Montrell Johnson gets the start of this game on senior day, so good for him. He gains 3 on the first play. Lagway runs for 6. So we can see Lagway was going to be a little more mobile today. 3rd and 1 at the 45. Montreal gains 2. So first down at the Gators at the 47. A couple plays later, it's 3rd and 5 at the Ole Miss 48. Empty set and a slant to Montreal Johnson. And close to pass interference for Ole Miss. I don't get that option on the play. I've never really been a big fan of when Florida goes 5 wide and a running back's one of those 5. And to run that against Ole Miss's best cover corner to Montreal, just give me a receiver in that spot. I know it was great coverage. Would the coverage have been as good if that was a receiver there? Oh well, it ends up pretty good later on down the game. So Ole Miss takes over at their own 20. Couple passes over the middle, gets Ole Miss into Florida territory at the Florida 36. 2nd and 6 run by Dart. He's run out of bounds. Late hit called on Triquez Bridges. Ole Miss ball at the 20-yard line now. Dart keeper for a loss of 3. So 2nd and 13 at the 23. That gains 9. 3rd and 4 at the 14. Gains 3. Or 13. So 4th and 1 at the 11. And Ole Miss is going for it. Wildcat with Pegues. Gets stopped this time. Gators stop the Rebels in the red zone. That would be a pretty good theme for the day. Gators take over at their own 11. Here we go. It's time to get it started. Jaden Ball runs for 4 on first down. A Badger pop pass, which is something I've been wanting to see more of this year anyway, just because of the shake and bake he had and that what he showed us at Arizona State and being able to make plays with the ball in his hands. So Badger with the pop pass for 19, shaking and baking. Ball's at the 34. A couple plays later on 2nd down, Ball runs for 17 to the Ole Miss 46, showing great patience, showing great burst there. Next play, Lagway shakes off a sack and gains 14 on the pass to Quavion Frazier's. Good for Frazier's getting involved in his last game. Just a wow moment. Lagway should have been sacked and able to just shake it off and find a receiver down the field. Ball's at the 32 now. 3rd and 5 a couple plays later at the 27. Lagway moves up in the pocket, shakes off another sack, finds Badger for 17 down to the 10-yard line. 1st and goal, Gators. A couple of runs don't get much, so it's 3rd and goal from the 8 into the first quarter. So I'm like, here, draw something up. Draw something up. Well, Gators come back out, start the 2nd quarter. Beautiful throw. DJ Lagway to Elijah Badger, inside fade route. Badger lined up in the slot there. Lagway threw it to where only he could catch it, that he being Elijah Badger. Yam Banks was in coverage. He gets injured on the play for Ole Miss with a leg injury. 7-0 Gators, a scoring drive of 11 plays, 89 yards, 5 minutes and 40 seconds off the clock. Ole Miss, of course, gets the ball back, touchback on 25. Now some pressure on them. First down run by Dart for 11. It is just Jackson Dart killed Florida with his legs today. He had a lot of good runs. Great coverage for Florida secondary. Couldn't get to him, so, of course, he made some plays with his legs. First down at the 36 for Ole Miss. It's 2nd and 2. Dart had a wide-open wide receiver. That's dropped down the field for a big gain. Ends up at 3rd and 2 for Ole Miss. At the Ole Miss 44. Pegues again for 1 yard, so it's 4th and 1 at the 45. Pegues again, this time to the left for a gain of 8 to the Florida 47. First down, Ole Miss. On 2nd and 5, Dart finds Trey Harris for the 43-yard touchdown. All day to throw for Dart on play action. Harris got behind Johnson and Thornton. Thornton a little slow to react, but it was a really good throw by Dart too. So Thornton almost recovered in time from being out of position early on. Scoring drive for Ole Miss, 7 plays, 75 yards, 2:55 off the clock. Game is tied at 7, 12:01 left in the first half. Gators take over on 25 after touchback. First down's a deep shot to Badger. That falls incomplete. Montreal Johnson gets a run for 16 yards, but then a Lagway RPO slant to DK is picked off on that after the big run by Johnson. Lagway rifled it in there. DK couldn't make the catch. Tip for the Ole Miss interception. Great catch on that interception by them. Florida's first turnover of the day. So Ole Miss ball on 45. They get to a 3rd and 1 at the Florida 46. And a tackle for loss for Cam Jackson. 4th and 2, and Ole Miss gets another explosive for 25 as Bridges is lost in coverage to Jordan Watkins. Very next play, Dart zings one into Caden Lee on the post route for the 22-yard touchdown. That quick, it's 14-7 Ole Miss with 9:05 left in the first half. You gave them an extra possession. They took advantage. Dart was feeling it at that point. 10 of 12, 83% completion percentage, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns at that point. That was a 5-play, 55-yard drive. Took 2:16 off the clock. Guys, 14-7. You know where we're at? That's Ole Miss's last touchdown of the game in the first half. Gators take over their own 25 after a touchback, of course. Lagway run on second down, makes it 3rd and 2 at the 33. He took a hard hit on that run. I remember, you guys probably remember that too. Timeout, Ole Miss with 7:59 in the first half. It's 3rd and 2. Lagway scrambles and at the last second finds Badger for a catch and run for 27 yards. 1st and 10 at the Ole Miss 40. Lagway looks deep to Frazier's. That falls incomplete. But a face mask on Ole Miss. So ball's at the 25-yard line now. 1st down. And, man, what a great call. It is one of Billy Napier's probably best calls that I can remember. Great screen the ball. Great blocking by Crenshaw, Dixon, and Damian George down the field. Ends up, ball just has to make kind of one move, play the block a little bit. Tie game at 14. The Swamp is rocking. I mean, great bounce back there for Florida. You turn the ball over. Ole Miss takes the lead. You get the ball back, and you go right back down and score and tie the ball game up. Ole Miss ball at their own 25. And then a second down, another big play. Ole Miss was starting to hit some big plays here in this stretch of drives for them. On second down, they hit another big play, this time for 25 yards as Juice Wells is wide open. Very next play, and another for Ole Miss, this time 30 yards, and at the Florida 20 already. Chunk yards. So it's just they were really – so they were driving here, of course, and this is kind of when the game changes for them a bit. I think a couple plays later, it's 3rd and 6 at the 16, and for Florida's defense, try to get Ole Miss to a field goal try. But Trey Harris, they throw the ball to him at the marker. He falls awkwardly. The ball comes out. He's injured. It looks like his groin injury again. Remember, he just came back for Ole Miss. Looked like another groin injury. That's where he was grabbing. The play's reviewed. Almost looked like a fumble recovery for Florida. Pass was called incomplete. It's 4th and 6 now. The field goal's missed for Ole Miss. So momentum staying with the Gators. Florida's got the ball at their own 20, 5:04 left in this first half. 2nd and 7 run to the right with a great pull. Gains 8 for Jacoby Jackson and a 1st down to the 31. A couple plays later, Lagway is sacked and it's now 3rd and 19 at the Florida 22. Run gains 16 and it's 4th and 3. The offense stays on the field at their own 38. A timeout eventually for Florida. Call with 2:20 left in the first half. After that timeout, the punt team comes out. There's a touchback for Ole Miss. So getting late here in the first half. Ole Miss at their own 20. Defense needs to hold here. Florida gets the ball after halftime. 1st down pass for 11. Caleb Banks had some pressure on that one. 2-minute timeout. That's where we're at. Ball's at the 31. 1st and 10. False start Ole Miss. So now 1st and 15 at their own 26. Florida brings pressure. Passes drop by Ole Miss. 2nd and 15. Jordan Castell's called for pass interference. The ball's at Ole Miss 35. 1st and 10. 3rd and 3 a couple of plays later at the Ole Miss 42. 1:24 left. And then Sharif Denson is 3rd and 3. Ole Miss does a little flare route. Sharif Denson with a great one-on-one tackle in open field. Timeout, Florida. It's 4th and 1. Ole Miss punts. 1:20 left. Florida gets the ball with 1:12 left. I saw a lot of people talking about this. Florida not being aggressive right here before halftime. A couple of plays, trying to see if one early play gets popped, and then maybe take your chances. Understandable in some ways, Ole Miss's defensive line. You don't want to give them. Florida's backed up. Drive is starting their own 14. So I see it both ways, but I get it of why being a little bit conservative there with that Ole Miss defensive front. So there we are. A couple Montrell Johnson runs. Takes us to halftime, tied at 14. Tied at 14 at halftime. So, yeah, you kind of knew right here that Florida was in to play for the day. Florida was in to play. Florida came to play. A couple of stats at halftime I really wanted to look at. Ole Miss was leading the charge 272 to 230 there at halftime. Ole Miss only had 35 yards rushing at halftime. Florida had 120. But what I was looking at it, Yak was crazy. 110 yards for Ole Miss at halftime, 87 for Florida. Both teams won a lot of yak. But at this moment, at this time at halftime, tackles for loss, Ole Miss only had 1. Florida had 4. and we're talking about this Ole Miss defensive line all week long. Sacks, Ole Miss had one, Florida had one. So the Ole Miss defensive front not really getting off to the start we necessarily thought. Likely, was completing the ball. He had, as I said, 110 yards at halftime. Ole Miss had 237 yards at halftime passing. That's kind of you're hoping. Thankfully, the defense, played bend don't break once again. Missed field goals for Ole Miss. Hopefully they wouldn't continue the yardage and end up getting points. It didn't happen. So Gators get the ball, start the second half, and not good to start the second half. Lagway was sacked on the first play for a loss of 6. Second 16 at the 19. Holding on Florida, Damian George. So it's now second and 26 at the 9. Moving backwards to start the second half. You can start to tell Ole Miss up front now, they flipped the switch. They were playing much better. They were getting in the backfield a lot to DJ Lagway. Lagway was under a lot of pressure in the second half. So a loss of 4 now. It ends up 3rd and 29 at Florida 6. Florida had an empty set. Ole Miss gets pressure, but Lagway finds DK for 13 down to the 19. So get out of your own end zone a bit here. Got some yards, flip field position a bit. Well, okay. Well, field position is really flipped because Ole Miss muffs the punt. Micah Davis muffs the punt. DJ Douglas recovers for Florida. Gator ball at Ole Miss 37, and you're sitting here saying, all right, we can't waste this one. Got great field position there for Florida. Just trying to make sure still my mic's working here. So you don't want to waste this opportunity. First 2 plays do nothing for Florida. So it's already 3rd and 9 at the 36, the Ole Miss 36. Screen to DK only gains 1. I can tell at this moment, I think the play calling is really affecting Napier's play calling here. The pressure from Ole Miss really affecting the play calling there. So 4th and 8, offense can't move the ball. 53-yard field goal attempt by Trace Mack is good. Gators take the lead back, 17-14. Trace Mack, man, what a weapon he has been the last couple of weeks right here, and knocking bombs, smacking the ball there for Trace Mack. Ole Miss gets the ball. They're on 25. Shamar James, Jack Pyburn tackle for loss for 1. So it's 2nd 11. Dart scrambles to a wide open middle of the field for 20 yards. So it's 1st and 10 at the 44. Jaden Robinson comes in on the blitz, almost gets it, but Dart escapes here for 5 yards. 3rd and 1 at the Florida 47 a couple plays later. Pegues gains 6 to the Florida 41. And Florida was really blowing off the ball on that play to the left. First down, Ole Miss. 2 plays later. 1st and 10 at the Florida 31. Pass to the end zone falls incomplete. Besides the touchdowns Ole Miss had, after that, the balls down the field like that were not getting completed. So that pass to the end zone falls incomplete. It's 2nd and 10. That pass goes for 12 to the 20. First down pass to the end zone. Touchdowns dropped by Juice Wells. Florida caught some breaks here with some drops by the Ole Miss receivers. So this one in the end zone dropped by Juice Wells. It's 2nd and 10. That one's dropped as well. The Ole Miss receiver right through his hands. It was a little high, but still should have caught the ball. 3rd and 10 at the 20. The swamp is loud. I made sure to put that in the notes here. It's loud. It's what you'd expect the swamp to be in a late, second half. 3rd and 10. Ole Miss trying to score. Florida gets pressure. Dart makes a man miss for a gain of 9. It's 4th and 1. And Pegues comes in again, and he is stuffed. Short yardage situation for Florida's defense, and comes out on top again. Cam Jackson, Miles Graham, they get it done. Big stop. Defense stepping up once again in the red zone here for the Gators. But good to see Cam Jackson right here on senior day making a play. Miles Graham on the other end of the spectrum, a true freshman, in one of the biggest plays of the game, one of the most critical situations of the game. You got a senior and a freshman making a play. You love to see it. Gators take over their own 10. 5:43 left in the 3rd quarter. First down, Johnson run goes for 1 yard. Second down, pass is incomplete. And it's 3rd and 9 from the own 11. As I said, Florida's offense struggling here in the 3rd quarter. Ole Miss only brings 3. They get the sack anyway. I was really watching Ole Miss's. It was 3rd down, so I'm like, okay, what's their defensive line going to do? They have 4 up front, and they only rushed 3. The defensive tackle dropped back to spy. That really had an effect here too. Ends up, contributing to the play. So offense not doing anything so far that half, but I thought really good call by Ole Miss there in that situation. 4th and 14, punt goes out of bounds at Ole Miss 48. So Ole Miss right here, great field position to start this drive. 1st and 10, Ole Miss run gets called back for holding, so it's 1st and 20 at their own 38. Doesn't matter as Dart has all day again. He's starting to have a lot of time to throw here. Finds Johnson for 23 yards. It's 1st and 19. Or 1st and 10 at the Florida 39. Dart scrambles for 8 to the Florida 31. Ole Miss gets the first down with a gain of 3 to the 28. On 1st down, Caleb Bank gets in the backfield for a sack. What a 2-week performance by him as well. We talk about this defense. You probably got to start with Caleb Banks. Just really making himself a lot of money, I think, in these last 2 games. So Caleb Bank gets in the backfield for a sack. It's 2nd and 16. After Ole Miss reception, it's 3rd and 7 at the 25. Joey Slackman making some plays in this game. Shows contained, does his job, gets the pressure on Dart as he has to hold the ball. The pass falls incomplete. 42-yard field goal. Looks like it's almost blocked, but Ole Miss scores it right there. Get their field goal. 17 points for them. 17-17. 7 plays, 27-yard drive. Remember that drive started at midfield for Ole Miss. Defense steps up once again. 7 plays, 27 yards, 3:34 off the clock. Good stand there by the defense, given the field position. Time for the offense to help. Your defense is giving you every opportunity. You started feeling it. If Florida was going to win this game, the offense needed to start doing something. Drive starts their own 25, 45 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. First down run by Ball, goes for 3. That takes us to the 4th quarter, and what a wonderful we are the boys. What a wonderful we won't back down. Nothing better when Florida's in a game and going to that 4th quarter. We are the boys. We won't back down. It's a scene to behold. I just enjoyed it. I just put my phone down. I didn't really close my computer, but made sure I wasn't staring at it, and I just took it all in. It's hard when you're a fan a bit in the press box. Don't feel sorry for me. I know I get to do this for a quote unquote job, but I still got the fan in me, and I had to keep it in as much as I could because you can't show the favoritism in the press box. But I was doing my little swaying a little bit, of course, singing in my head. We won't back down. Hey, there's nothing better when Florida's rolling, and you get that experience. So there we go. We're in the 4th quarter. And tied at 17. 2nd, 7, and 0, 28. Florida still got the ball. Ball runs for 6, so it's 3rd and 1. Big 3rd and 1, as I said. Offense has got to start doing something. Ball gains 9 on a nice shake and bake. 3rd and 1. Let me check the text message here. My wife's asking me what time I'm getting home. So in a little while, let's enjoy this. Big 3rd and 1. Ball gains 9 with a nice shake. 1st and 10 for Florida at the 43, at their own 43. Gets to a 4th and 2. Florida gets a delay of game, now has to punt. Tried a hard count, didn't get anything there. That drive was a line on the ground game a whole lot. As I mentioned, Ole Miss's defensive line started pressuring really, really well. And it was just Jaden Ball over and over again. Florida gets near midfield, has to punt. And that punt's fair call. So Ole Miss starts at their own 9, little field position game here. 2 Ole Miss runs, gets to 3rd and 2 at the 17. Caleb Banks tackles Jackson Dart on a quarterback run in the backfield for a loss of 5. Don't count as a sack because it was a design run for Ole Miss, but hey, counts all the same. It was a 3rd down stop. Gators get the ball, and here we go. Ole Miss punts. Florida at their own 33. 9:34 left in the game. You got to do something. Getting crunch time here. Lagway rolls out on play action. Finds DK 41 yards wide open down to the Ole Miss 26. Montrell Johnson. Senior day, buddy. Montrell Johnson runs for 12 down to the 14. 1st down, Gators. Getting a little bit of a groove. A gain of 5 for Montrell again. 2nd down and 5 at the 9. Damian George goes down with an injury, walks off under his own power. After that, Florida draws up. Billy Napier draws up. Montrell comes out in the Wildcat, runs to the right, gets in from 9 yards out. Gators take a late lead, 24-17. Couldn't have happened to a better player. Played his last game for Billy Napier, transferring from Louisiana, of course. Comes to the Swamp, playing his last game now. 3 years here. Just gets in the end zone. Couldn't have happened. You know, if there's somebody you want it to happen for, Montreal Johnson's that guy. 4 plays, 67 yards, 1:54 off the clock. Ole Miss with their own 25, 7:40 left in the game. All the pressure of the college football playoff is on Ole Miss right here. And they start off with this huge run, a 45-yard run down to the Florida 40-yard line. And it's just like, oh, man, come on. We just took the lead. And Ole Miss gets this big run from Jackson Dart. So they take a shot. Second down to the end zone. It falls incomplete. 3rd and 10 at the 40. 3rd and 10. You know, 3rd down. It's the 4th quarter. The Swamp is loud. Jackson Dart gets sacked. Tyreek sacked. Caleb Banks in there. One more time. I mean, it's like a repeat from last week. In the second half, you hear from Tyreek Sapp. You hear from Caleb Banks. Big play for this defense. Ole Miss has to punt. After that big first play of the drive, they got to settle and punt. Gators take over their own 6. A chance to put the game away here. A lot to ask in that situation, deep in your own territory, but here we go. And you know what? They called it like that. 1st and 10, play action, roll out to the right. Lagway finds Badger for 12 down to the 18. Trusting your true freshman quarterback to make the right decision. Trusting your true freshman quarterback to tell you the truth that he's healthy enough to roll out and play like that. And Billy Napier mentioned in the postgame that we talked about that play, and I asked him if he was okay to do that. He said, Coach, I'm ready. So, crunch time drive, that's how you started out, to get out of your own end zone. Down to the 18-yard line now. You got some room. Second down is a horse collar on Ole Miss, so 15 more yards. First down, Florida. Ball's now at the 39. 5:13 left in the game. Ball is snapped with 4:58 left. Loss of 3, so it's 2nd and 13 at the 36. A screen to Jackson. Incomplete, so the clock stops with 4:14 left. 3rd and 13 at the 36. Lagway overthrows DK, so Florida's forced to punt. 4:09 left. Ole Miss takes over at their own 22 after that punt. 3:58 left. Might be the last drive for him. May not be. We know it wasn't. Pass complete on first down for 4 yards. So it's 2nd and 6. 3:30 left in game. Great pressure from Sapp on Dart. That deep pass is incomplete. 3rd and 6 at the 26. Dart almost sacked again and then scrambles for a gain of 7. So it's first down to the 32. Next play, ball is snapped with 2:42 left in the game. 9-yard run. 2nd one at the 41, and another gain of 4 for Ole Miss. First down at the 50 with 2 minutes left in the game, and we get our 2-minute timeout. Another quick pass to the sideline for 5. Out of bounds. Clock stops, 1:56 left for Ole Miss. Second down pass, gain 6 and a first down. 1:39 left in the game. It's first down. Pass to the end zone, picked off by Bryce Thornton. As I said, Ole Miss got, I won't say greedy here, but they were not. Jackson Dart was not patient. Now, I want to go back and watch the replay. I want to see if they had guys open underneath. But that pick was picked up by Bryce Thornton, and there were 3 Gators in the area. So in my mind, somebody's probably open. But Jackson Dart going for the home run ball. Gators take advantage. And you start feeling good here, you think the game's over. Well, Ole Miss gets another chance. Gators take over their own 20. 1:32 left in this game. Ole Miss has got all their timeouts left. 3-yard run from Montreal Johnson, timeout Ole Miss. Another Johnson run, gains 2. Another Ole Miss timeout. 1:17 left. Need a first down, and you put the game away. Jacoby Jackson comes in. He gets a carry. Gains only 2. 4th and 3. 1:10 left after the last Ole Miss timeout. The Ole Miss does get the ball back one more time. We know how it ends. Ole Miss, ball at their own 34. 1:03 left after the punt. Dart is pressured by Sears. He almost gets him, but Tyreek Sapp comes in, cleans it up. One more time, this defensive front in the second half of the game is really coming through. First down, Ole Miss at the Florida 48 after a gain of 19 to the middle of the field. So, Florida playing a little bit of, I think, clock here. They're going to complete it to the middle of the field, give it to them. They ain't got no timeouts left. 34 seconds left in the game. Timeout, Florida. Florida wanted to ends up being a really good timeout call. So 29 seconds after a first down completion for Ole Miss. It was first down incompletion. So it's 2nd and 10. And it looks like the pass was intercepted by Dijon Johnson. Game's over. Florida wins. Not yet. Play was reviewed and overturned. 24 seconds left. 3rd and 10 at the 48. Well, the next was definitely picked off. Bryce Thornton again. Darts pressured. And that's it. There you go. Gators take advantage, turning over Jackson Dart late in the game, and coming out with a 24-17 victory. Gators win. Gators win. Dash the hopes of Ole Miss making the college football playoff. Huge game, Bryce Thornton. Holy crap, it's dark out there. I didn't even have I couldn't see my camera. I couldn't even see my camera as I was reading the notes there. I was literally surprised, guys. So you just kept if you're watching live, I could not believe how dark it is out there right now. I mean, I don't know what time it is right now. Okay, 5:50. Okay, it makes sense. Get lost in the moment. Hey, Q Lee, man, I'm going through it. Thank you. Let's see. Colin Elvis. Love your coverage, Dave. Go Gators. Go Gators. Q Lee, I know, man, you kind of been with me too, a little critical at time, but hey, man, I know you're happy as well. We all want to see Florida win, no matter, some people can take it too far, but I think 95% of us out there, it doesn't matter what we felt, what we said. We want to see Florida win. We want to see Florida win. And maybe this is what you're saying, Hugh Lee. DJ is breaking the curse UF has. Maybe so. Hey, if you got a quarterback, you got a chance. And that's what we're seeing right here. And you know, that I think what's a lot really impressive about this win is, with DJ Lagway at quarterback, we've been living off that big play. The big play here, the big play there, the 45-yard bomb, the 50-yard bomb, and it's a touchdown. Didn't have that this game. This was a grinder, a grind out kind of day for this offense. You didn't live. I mean, I'm going to go look at the stats here. That'll be one of the ones I look at. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'll go and look at the passing chart for Lagway, but it wasn't just, wasn't like the Kentucky game and living off the deep pass and getting the win that way. This was a hard-fought kind of a SEC field type of game here. Just, defense galore. But finding a way to win it like that, it means a lot. It means a lot for this team. I mean, look at this. Total yards. I mean, 464 to 344 for Ole Miss. Let me pull up my stats bigger, guys. I'm sorry. There we go. 464, 344. Advantage for Ole Miss right there. Rushing yards. This is where you kind of felt it there for Florida. 164 rushing yards. 141 for Ole Miss. Florida, if I remember right, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, guys. I think Ole Miss was averaging giving up 2.2 yards a carry, if I remember off the top of my head. 3.6 for Florida. Not outstanding, but more than what Ole Miss was used to giving up. Rushing attempts, 45 for Florida, 35 for Ole Miss. As I mentioned, 3.6 yards per carry for Florida, 4.0 or 4 yards a carry for Ole Miss. Rushing touchdowns, the Gators with 1, none for Ole Miss. Let's see. Passing yards, 180 for Florida. As I said, you didn't get the big play after big play after big play. 323 for Ole Miss, and they lose this game. Can't be happy about that. Can't be happy about that. I mean, and you look at it, Florida was 10 of 18, 56% completion percentage. Ole Miss, 24 of 42, 57%. Pretty much the same percentage. They just threw the ball a lot more. Average yards per completion, that's where you see it. Like I said, you didn't live and die by the deep ball, but still 18 yards per completion. That was more than Ole Miss's 13 and a half. Yards after catch. So if I'm not mistaken, if I go back to my notes, so Florida did a really good job here because the Yak at halftime was 110 yards for Ole Miss. They finished with 125. So they had 15 yards after the catch in the second half. I didn't even put that together, guys, until I just found out. You found out with me. That's staying up. Or that's stand up. That's standing up in the second half there for the defense and limiting the Ole Miss big plays there in the passing game. As I said, Florida had 97 for the game, and they had 87. So the yards per catch for both teams went down in the second half. Most of the yak was all in the first half of the game. And pretty interesting there. Pretty interesting. Adjustments by both teams there. Total first downs, 24 for Ole Miss, 18 for the Gators. And total plays ran, 77 for Ole Miss, 63 for the Gators. Average yards per play, 6 for Ole Miss, 5.5 for the Gators. The Gators, 45 rushes to 18 passes. Ole Miss, 35 rushing to 42 passes. Red zone attempts. Guys, there's your game. There's your game. Ole Miss 0 for 3 in the red zone. Florida 2 for 2. 14-0 edge when it really counts. Florida made it there. That's what I'm saying. I mean, 14. You had 2 red zone attempts. You scored 24 points, guys. You have 14 points in the red zone. So that's what I'm saying. You didn't have the big plays that we're used to seeing from DJ Lagway in this passing attack. And to me, that's a good sign. You find a way to win a game like that. Don't get me wrong. We want to see all those exciting passes. But when they're not there, can you still find a way to win? And complimentary football at its best. And I'll tell you something I joked about in the second half of this game. It felt weird one time. Here we are one time now asking the offense to help the defense out. How many times did the defense stand strong in the second half? And this offense needed to help them out. We've talked about it the other way for I don't know how many years now. And this time, it was the other way around, complimentary football. That's not a shot at the offense. It's more propping up the defense. But there were times when we know this offense had to do something, and they did something. They got the second half touchdown. They got the touchdown that made the difference in the game. Third downs for Ole Miss, 3 of 14. Better day for Florida, 7 of 15. It's been a struggle for Florida on third down. But when you hold your opponent 3 of 14 and you go 7 of 15, and they're going for all those fourth downs and they only 50% there, not a heavy penalized game overall for both teams. Biggest difference, how much did we talk about the sacks and the tackles for loss for Ole Miss's defensive front all week long? Florida did it again. Florida turned the tables, and we were talking about Florida's defense. 9 tackles for loss for Florida's defense compared to 5 for Ole Miss. Sacks, 4 from Florida's defense, 3 for Ole Miss's. So if I'm not mistaken, besides, I'm trying to remember stats off the top of my head, guys. So the LSU game for Ole Miss, they had no sacks. But every other SEC game, they had at least 5. They had 3 this game. One more time, because I threw it to them. I criticized them, rightfully so, at the beginning of the year, even coming into the year. But this Florida offensive line took over late in the game with those runs, with Montrell Johnson scoring drive touchdown. Only giving up 3 sacks. Now, Lagway, a part of that. I'm not going to shy away from that. But still a better performance from this offensive line. There were a couple of times in that first half, okay, they gave up some pressure, and Lagway missed the sack for you. But still, overall, especially against this defense that was getting 5 sacks a game in SEC play, had games where they were getting 7, 8, 9 sacks in conference play, and they get 3. They walk out of Gainesville with 3. I saw the video of Princely walking off the field early. I think there were 17 seconds left in the game. Almost looked like he wanted to fight somebody outside the stadium after the game. I mean, look, I defended Princely for a good bit. I didn't want to see him leave, but you can't act like that. I mean, come on. Now, I know Florida fans were giving him hell, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. You gotta grow up and mature a little bit. That's you don't act like that. And I'll obviously leave it at that. I don't want to spend too much time on that. All right, let's go home for Florida right here. Lagway, 10 of 17, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And the 1 interception, like I said, it was rifled there to DK. Probably still should have been caught, but that ball was rifled in there. And Ole Miss gets the pick. But, hey, some of those other throws, especially the ones we saw like last week versus LSU where he threw in the traffic, ball should have been picked off. Didn't see those. So, step in the right direction. I'm going to make sure. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I'm going to make sure that, all right, still 287 live viewers here, so I'm assuming my mic is still working. I'm going to try. I got a lot of comments to catch up on. Let me go through stats one here. Elijah Badger, 5 catches, 87 yards, 1 touchdown. Like I said, along with 27. Chimere Dike, 3 catches, 54 yards, along with 41. But, 41 of his 54 yards came on 1 catch. So it wasn't the long passes over and over again. Badger, 17.4. 18 for Chimere Dike. 1 catch for Jaden Ball. 1 catch for Jaquavion Fraziers. And the Jaden Ball, as I said, that one screen, beautiful play call. Beautiful play call. Montrell Johnson, man, credit. Big time credit. Last game in the Swamp. 18 carries, 107 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 yards per carry. 5.9, 6 yards per carry. Jaden Ball, 13 for 46, 3.5 yards a carry. Jacoby Jackson, 8 carries, 21 yards, 2.6. Bryce Thornton, 14 total tackles, 2 interceptions. SEC Player of the Week, and I don't care. I ain't got to watch another game. He should be National Defensive Player of the Week. And maybe overall Player of the Week, no matter what side of the ball you're on. Having to step up. More injuries in the defensive backfield this game, the way it started out with Gates going out. Sharif Denson played admirably. 6 total tackles, 3 of them solo. As I mentioned, the 1 big third down tackle. Had a pass breakup on a hard hit, as I said. Reminiscence of Major Wright's in the building, so hey, let's go lay the wood back in the secondary. You saw that from Sharif Denson. You saw that from Jordan Castell. But Bryce Thornton, one more time, 14 total tackles, 5 of them being solo, 2 interceptions. Traquez Bridges, 11 tackles for him. His last game in the Swamp. What a find he was in the portal. And I remember, guys, you all follow, I won't say you all do, but if you're new here, thanks. Hit that like button, subscribe. But you guys, going through the spring, going to fall camp, it was DJ Douglas, DJ Douglas, DJ Douglas. That's the name we were hearing in the secondary. Well, this season starts. We play Miami. We play Texas A&M. And DJ Douglas is struggling. Traquez Bridges starting to get on the field a little bit more. Gets thrown out for that stupid butt targeting that they wanted to call him for against Texas A&M. That was ridiculous. Not on him, by me. I didn't mean that for him. But Traquez Bridges starts getting some more playing time. And he's playing really well. And while he's playing really well, he has to get moved the corner because of all the injuries in the defensive backfield. And then there he is making plays, 11 total tackles, 8 of them being solo, a pass breakup, tight coverage. I mean, I'm going to praise this defense. Too many times have we had to come after games and criticize the defense and not like what we have seen on that side of the ball. And since that first bye week, and I know the overall stats when you look, and I know, they give up a ton of yardage to Ole Miss today. The plan certainly is bend, don't break, but the defensive line has come up in clutch situations over and over again. You had the secondary making plays, playing down guys. I don't know what else more we can say. I don't want to criticize the group too much because there's really not much to criticize about. We know the situation, and they're showing up anyway. Jack Pyburn, 5 tackles. Miles Graham, 4 tackles, as I mentioned, 1 big there in the game. Caleb Banks, 2.5 sacks for him, putting together 2 very, very good weeks in the biggest games of the year for Florida. When you really need it, when you need to end this season on a high note, you're at home. Caleb Banks, salute to you. Let's see. Wasn't any more standout. Tyreek Sapp with a 1.5 sacks. Tackles for loss. Caleb Banks, 3.5 tackles for loss. Cam Jackson with a tackle and a half for a loss. So, kudos, defense. Kudos. All right, one more right here. Let's go to Jackson Dart. 24-41, 323, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Watkins leads the way for Ole Miss. 8 catches, 70 yards. Sorry, let me catch this. Let me text my wife, guys. Live TV, or I keep saying live TV. Let her know I'll be a little late. And podcasting almost done. There. Okay. Told her I'd be home at a decent hour because it was a noon game, but not really looking like it. So we'll see. Anyway, there's Ole Miss stats. Look at them right now if you want to. No need to spend. Let's get some more comments right here. Okay. Muddy Water said, after Dart threw that interception to Dijon, let me get rid of that here. Started bawling his eyes out, then found out it was incomplete. 2 plays later, did it again. Poor guy went through all the emotions. I went through all the emotions. You went through all the emotions. We thought the game was over, and we're like, oh no, please, come on. But all worked out in the end, didn't it? Q Lee says Denson plays too far off. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't know what he's told Q. It might have something to do with it. We'll see. Okay, I know I missed a ton of comments, guys. I know I did. So Buddy Waters talking about, it looks like Kansas get okay, playing well. That was some time ago, it looks like, because there's a ton. Jeremy Fennell says, insane atmosphere in the swamp today. Will Hopsell, glad we didn't lose to a team with a QB that spells Jackson with an X. Gross. Joshua Fennell, hey, I love this. These are some of my favorite stories, and I know Tucker. I'll give you a shout out too. I know he drove from Virginia for a Gator game today, but Joshua here, great game to the drive down from South Carolina. The place was loud. This is some of my favorite. Whether your first game where you have to drive so far and you don't get to come to games so often, man, that's what makes it special. That's what makes it special like that. Getting to know people like that. Brian, what's our ranking now, Dave? Oh, that's a good question. Power ranking, and I know my good buddy Josh Pate, he does it on his show all the time. Power ranking, Florida ranks in the top 20-ish. Yeah, they already were there. We're Pate, so they're gonna be top like 15-ish for him. Could Florida get some love in the rankings? I think if you're honest with yourself and how this team is playing, yeah. I got to go see what other teams are, but not many teams are playing better than Florida right now. So it depends. Like, if you don't want to rank Florida, I wouldn't blame you. The 5 losses count. But at the same time, if you're ranking with the way teams are playing now, yeah. Yep. Steven Sinet brings up a good point. I mentioned the Ole Miss drops earlier. Thought the hits from our secondary played a role in all the Ole Miss drops. I definitely could have played a part. Like I said, they were laying the wood. 1NB, how big would this be for recruiting, Dave? Hard to tell. I don't know. I haven't been able to follow up much. It's not going to hurt. I know that much for sure. George, he said, I don't care what Billy does or doesn't do in the offseason. I just want to finish with a top 5 recruiting class and win the national championship next year and a year after that. You got a quarterback, you got a chance. I'll say it for that too. With that, it won't be a top 5 recruiting class finished. I don't think the high school recruiting will get it there. If you want to combine portal, I think it should be a good class for Florida, a good finish. I think still the hole dug too deep there for a huge recovery in the high school ranks, but we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. It's good. This is going to turn some heads. The last 2 weeks, and we already saw it turn some heads last week, but hopefully even more this week. All right, we'll scroll back up, guys. Let's see. Muddy Waters, what are our chances versus FSU? As long as Florida can handle the praise, very good chances. Very good chances. Let's see. Q Lee, DJ got to win a Heisman and Natty to be in the class of Cam Newton. Okay, I guess I missed part of that conversation there. It's like, yeah, we're comparing DJ to a lot of top flight elite quarterbacks throughout the days. RG3, Lamar Jackson, I see. Vic. I'll hold off on that. Tebow. We'll see. I think he'll get a statue outside the stadium at one point. I'll just leave it at that. Muddy Waters says, shame on Tebow for picking Ole Miss. Hey, I'm not the only one. Woo, woo. Yeah, shame on me too. Shame on me too. And I'll take it. Throw it all at me. I don't care. George, good point. I'll do like this. DJ is cool as a cucumber, even with the defensive lineman hanging off of him. He can still complete the pass. Really good point, George. And I mentioned him kind of shaking off the defenders and the sacks there, but not just shaking off the sacks, being able to complete the pass afterwards. So great point, great point about cool as a cucumber as a true freshman. Doesn't let the moment get too big for him. Great point, George. Great point. And you can just hear it, can't you? You can just hear it. Let's go. You can just hear it. Okay. Muddy Waters, yep, one more shout out. Happy for Trace Mack coming up in clutch again with that 50-plus field goal. Absolutely. Coming in big time the last couple of weeks. Let's see. I do wonder, like we talk about Caleb Banks and Tyreek Sapp and those guys being able to go to the NFL if they want, but good point, guys, that NIL is a factor. So let's see. Get those guys to stay. But Caleb Banks, I think made himself some money. Hey, I'd love for him to come back. Yeah, I saw that too. Walter was a stud today. Yeah, Walter Nolan played really good for Ole Miss's defensive front. What was his stats? Walter, 8 tackles for him, 7 of them solo. Yeah, 3 tackles for a loss. Yeah, Walter Nolan played the 5-star. We know he is for sure. I didn't want to give too much credit to Ole Miss there, but y'all were talking about it. So look, that just kind of goes to the point where Florida's offensive line, we know what they had to deal with. And to be able to take over without Montreal Johnson late touchdown run, yeah. The offensive line had to stand up. You got the big play early in the drive. Now go when you got the chance. And offensive line, hey, we're going to rely on you right here. We're going to rely on you. And look, especially when Montreal Johnson's in the Wildcat, okay, Ole Miss knows the run's coming. So that means the blocking's got to be there. Not every time, when you line up, defense knows what you're going to do. But it's time for you to man up and go be more physical. And on that Wildcat run, Montreal Johnson gets his way to the end zone because of the guys in front of him. Oh, let's see. Good stuff, guys. I could be reading comments all day. I need to get back to Jacksonville. Thank you all so much. Thank y'all so much. Hopping in here live. Thank you for joining me from the swamp. Last time here this season. What a way to end it. 2 straight wins right there. You can't see it there barely, but one more time right here in the swamp. 24-17 Gators. Probably have to do this more often. I like this. For early games, may have to do this. But it's been a fun time in the swamp this year. I hate to say I hate to wave goodbye to it. These weeks mean a lot, and the tailgates mean a lot. Harmonic Woods had me this morning was a lot of fun. They're at 7 o'clock this morning, getting up at 5 in Jacksonville, driving down for the tailgate. Everybody who's come through all year long and said hello, thank you so much for doing that. I enjoy doing this for you. Right here in the swamp one more time. Last time for 2024, and what a way to end it on a high note. So certainly means a lot. Thanks, everybody, for the coverage this season. We'll get it one more time. That'll be from the comfort of the home against Florida State. Be sure to stay tuned through Gators Breakdown for all the coverage this week for Florida State. But yeah, I liked this. Jay Frost, I'll get this one in here. Thanks for the donation. Billy called good offensive game in the first half. Yeah, now I love that screen the ball for that touchdown. Oh man, that was a great call at the time. Just needed it. No updates on injuries, guys. I haven't heard anything. As I said, I come straight in here. I may have gotten stuff sent to my phone and stuff by now, but we'll see. We'll see. I know he went straight to the locker room. You guys saw it too. So, all right, there we go. That'll do it. This episode of Gators Breakdown live from the swamp. One more time, everybody. Thanks for all the coverage. Being able to do it right here, I wouldn't be in this press box without you guys. So thank you so much. And that'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.